So hello everyone and welcome to today's session. I can say maybe good afternoon or good evening for some of the participants from throughout the world. So I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ahmed. I'm the actually chapter development manager for Africa. And in today's session, would like to introduce you to our two presenters. And I do apologize for pronouncing the name incorrectly, if any. So the first presenter is Dr. Edi or Edvantro Carlos Conforto. He is actually a globally recognized specialist on business agility, strategy implementation, and organizational transformation. He is also the head of research at Brightline Initiative, which is a project management institute initiative dedicated to bridge the gap between ideas and results. Also would like to introduce you Mr. Scott Hansman. Scott is a product professional and a detail-oriented manager whom effectively drives complex projects and delivers products to the market. He has worked within global operations, customer service, marketing, and most recently products. So welcome to both presenters today. I would like to let you know that we have the structure of this 1 hour. We are dedicating 30 minutes for our speakers and to speak, to take us through few slides and conversation focus on agility, digital focus, and PMI focus. And we will have a dedicated 30 minutes for the Q&A. We would love to hear from you. So I would encourage you to place and put your question in the chat box, and we will make sure to read the questions to the speakers in the second half of the presentation or of the session. Also, as actually we usually do in our education webinar series, between today and tomorrow, we will share with you the slide deck. Also, we'll share with you the recording of the session, along with the BDUs details, how to claim your BDUs, and a simple survey in a way to hear your feedback, as we always try to and strive to improve our webinars or future webinars. Actually, with that note, I will now hand over you to Eddie and Scott to take over the conversation. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ahmed, and thank you, Nelson, for the invitation. We are very happy to be with you, with this community, to share some science, some practical recommendations around how to build your power skills. And today we're going to cover two main goals. So we want to talk about competences, mainly around how these power skills and the practice to support business transformation. So the whole conversation is going to be around how can we, as project leaders, project managers, help transform the organization. And also, my friend Scott and I, we're going to talk a little bit about the capability building initiatives that PMI is developing to help project managers and project leaders build the right competences for transformation. I want to get ahead and start by talking about a little bit what is Brightline. For those that are not familiar with Brightline initiative, Brightline is a think tank, is a project management institute initiative that was built together with other leading global organizations. And we dedicate to help executives bridge the expensive and unproductive gap between strategy, design, and deliver. Our main goal is to work with organizations and help executives understand the value of project management, program management, portfolio management, and how those competences and those skills are relevant for both implementing strategy and transforming the organization. So we want to make sure that the executives, they understand what can PMI can do for their businesses, and what are the competences we need to develop on those dimensions so the project professionals can develop their work successfully. Just to give an example about the organizations behind Brightline, we call them coalition members in academic research and collaboration. So with this global community of organizations and institutions, for both research development and practical orientation. We have built a lot of initiatives and assets that if you go to the brightline.org, you're gonna find a lot of resources from research, from books, from case studies, covering from strategy implementation to transformation. And all those assets, all that information and content there are available for free. Even though if you are outside the PMI community and you wanna share, for example, with your colleagues or the people you work in your organization, you can share that information, that website, and you can download a lot of important and relevant assets to help the organizations become more successful. Brightline as a think tank is based on three main pillars, as we call. The first one is thought and practice leadership. So what we do with this pillar is we develop and we provide cutting edge research and solutions. So we research and develop new insights, new topics, concepts, frameworks, and practices that are in the edge of development for innovation and management to help people advance their careers and organizations become more successful. We also have a second pillar that we call networking. And through different events and partnerships, we use, not now during the COVID, of course, but back in the when we started Brightline 3 years ago, we used to partner with a lot of institutions to take the ideas we were developing and have one-on-one conversations face-to-face with leaders. So we participate and we partnered with a lot of events around the globe. For example, TED, Web Summit, Collision, World Economic Forum, etc., to talk with executives on a one-on-one base and approach about the topics and our mission. And the third and very important pillar is capability building. So we take all the thought and practice leadership we develop, the insights we get from the executives, and we build opportunities for people and for professionals to develop their careers and their competences. So for example, we developed a course that is available at Coursera for free. Anyone in this call can go to the Brightline website, go to education and courses, and they can register to attend this course for free and take this course on Coursera. So this course, for example, was developed to understand what are the key principles around strategy implementation, and it's for free. So just an example, how Brightline is helping developing capability buildings and education. And we're going to talk more about these other courses that we are developing on transformation specifically at the end of this presentation. So let's talk about transformation now. Let's shift the gears a little bit. So now that you understand what is Brightline, now I want to cover what's transformation. Before the definition of transformation, I want to tell you guys some of worrying facts about transformation initiatives. So a recent survey, they point out that one of the main concerns in 2019 was transformation, okay? At large-scale organizations, transformation fail in a rate of 70% or even more. That means around $900 billion is wasted on a yearly basis, according to Forbes. And on top of that, if you take some surveys like the one developed by Gallup about employee engagement, you're going to find out that a lot of people in their current position and work today in organizations, they are not engaged, meaning they don't see themselves as part of the transformation initiatives, as part of the work or whatever purpose and benefits the organization is pursuing. For some reason, there is a lot of people that are lost in terms of, okay, what is my purpose here? How can I contribute? How can I make the organization successful? How can I improve my career, etc.? In this presentation, we're not going to cover the reasons for that, but we're going to show a little bit about what's causing these issues and why transformation capability is so critical today, even more today after the crisis as well, for project managers, for project leaders. So let's get a theoretical definition about transformation. And when we talk about transformation here, we are talking about something that is really, really big, meaning you're shifting the whole business, you're changing the whole culture of an organization. It's not a simple change management project, and it's not only one project, but it's an enterprise-wide movement to shift gears or shift the strategy to something new, something different. So sometimes it's even rethinking the whole business model. And on top of that, you're going to have to change, improve, or even rethink the culture, the process, the operations, what are the platforms for your product, etc. So these are big shifts in the organizations. And the best examples we are living today, from small business to medium to large enterprises, due to the current situation, current scenario worldwide, a lot of organizations are seeing transformation as a way out to rethink what's going to be a post-crisis situation for them, or business, or clients, or customer base, or competition. So they need to understand how this transformation works in order to be successful in this transition. So let me give you a few insights from a research we recently published that is also available in our website. And we end out with this research to understand what is the correlation between when you talk about strategy implementation and transformation. One thing that is really important is that transformation is not done in a vacuum. Transformation is a tool, let's say, is a journey that will help you achieve a moonshot goal or a vision for your company. So if you lack that vision, no matter how good you are in transformation, you're probably gonna, land your plane in the wrong airport. So you have a fast airplane, but you're gonna be landed that in the wrong airport, in the wrong objective, not achieving the right goal. So strategy and transformation comes together, and that's the main goal we try to understand with this research. So I'm gonna share with you 5 key main takeaways. Okay, the first one is, in order to succeed with strategic initiatives, we found out, and that was a very clear hypothesis from the beginning, but we found out that you need to be successful at strategic, at implementing those strategies and transforming at the same time. So we separated here what are the high performers from the average performers and the low performers. So the first cut we did was, okay, who are doing good or doing having a high performance in implementing the strategy, to identify what they're doing in terms of transformation. So if you think about effectiveness of organization transformation initiative, you're also going to correlate that with high performance organizations in terms of strategic implementation. So meaning, if you want to succeed with strategy implementation, you need also to succeed with transformation. And that was common sense, but we tried to prove this with some data, and using this group, okay, those that are high performance in both strategy and in transformation, we try to understand what differentiates the organizations that are succeeding at transformation. Therefore, they are more capable of delivering their strategies or their strategic goals. So the second key takeaway was transformation needs to come with velocity, with speed. And here we're talking about agility. There is a lot of buzzword today about organizational agility, enterprise agility as well. And that's for a reason, because if you're thinking about transformation, it's not acceptable today anymore. You take like 5 years or 10 years to change or to transform an organization. And what's interesting, no one anticipated the crisis that we are living on today. And most of the transformation initiatives before the crisis, they were set to be done or complete in 5 years. What's interesting that a lot of organizations, they had to expedite that transformation. So for example, what they didn't do in 5 years, now they have to do in 5 weeks. So speed here will always be a key element of transformation. If you want to be successful at transformation, speed is critical. Okay, that's one key aspect. So speed in the planning, organizing, executing, pivoting, scaling, all those aspects of transformation. Just to give an example, some of the top frameworks that organizations that have a higher speed in terms of transformation compared to the lower, to the organizations that are not so successful, they're using agile project management frameworks. They use OKRs, that are another framework to set and define objectives. They also apply balanced scorecards, design thinking, business canvas, etc. And some of the top methods when they need to course correct, because one thing that comes to reality when you're transforming, you're gonna need to learn as fast as you can. Okay, sometimes transformation is very fuzzy in the beginning, even though you're able to build a very comprehensive and detailed and clear business case for the transformation. There are some hypotheses and some areas of that plan that you need to learn quickly through experimentation, etc., etc. And then what are these organizations are doing is, okay, in order to course correct as quickly as you can, you need to review lessons learned. And these project leaders, they are very well suited to do that because it's part of project management as well. Speaking of customers and users, so get out of your office, your desk, and go to the front with your team to listen to users and customers, reevaluating milestones and timelines on as frequently as possible, analyze talent and resourcing, and simplify and modify the delivery process. And simplification here is very important. You need to be able to have a bias towards action, okay, and find the essential process and operation or practice or standards in order to deliver the transformation. And I'm gonna cover a little bit more about standards and frameworks down the road. Before I'm moving forward, since we're talking about speed, this chart is very, very interesting because this research was done before the crisis, of course, and you can see here the speed rate. So faster transformation compared to the competitors versus slower or same speed for the organizations that we interviewed. And you're gonna see some of the faster industry sectors that we collected in this survey. So for example, automotive, technology, manufacturing. In automotive, there is a reason, right? There's the electrification movement, there is the self-driving cars. A lot of people are thinking about the new ways of moving around. So the future of mobility here is impacting the speed of automotive industries and transformation sector transforming their businesses, because if they are too slow in that transformation, maybe a Google or some other company that are entering this market as well will be the next big player. But now, if you look at the other side of this spectrum, for example, government, education, insurance, healthcare, after crisis, these are the main, and business services and retail, these are the main industries that had to make this transformation in a matter of months, in a matter of weeks. So the speed of transformation here was boosted most of the time in this situation now because of this burning platform they have in which everyone needs to stay home. So my business now is dying and I need to do something. And that's one way to kickstart a transformation. There are frameworks out there that you say, you know what, you need to start or you need to declare a burning platform, some for a competitor, for or even a new product or new technology that is on the horizon. But sometimes these transformations are triggered by unexpected events, by black swan events, those events that no one can anticipate, no one can be prepared for, but they will happen. Power to the people. So I'm gonna go a little bit faster to be able to cover everything we need. So power to the people. And it's interesting here that you have, for example, when you look at this chart, a lot of other organizations that are faster in transformation and better implementing strategic goals, they invest a lot on their internal talent. They also have hiring external talent, but the priority is to develop the people that are in the business today. And that's really important because those people are the ones that will be able to connect what are the business needs with the transformation goals and the North Star for the transformation. And fourth, the last one is a strong and visionary leadership determines success in strategic transformation, and it's critical to communicate what are the goals. So here you have 10 factors, for the transformation that are critical when you look at the transformation. And the most critical characteristics of leaders in faster transformation. So these are the things that we need to build our power skills in order to develop and deliver transformation successfully in organizations. So from leadership, being able to adopt the new technologies, understand organizational culture, behavior, new product development process, operations. So the list is very comprehensive. And on the right side here, you can see all the main characteristics that leaders need to develop in order to help organizations successfully develop transformations. I want to close this part with one key chart here, which is about the Chief Transformation Officer. In some organizations, there is a specific role in charge of the transformation. And what we understand is that project leaders, program leaders, portfolio leaders, they can become one day this person. And the reason why is because transformation as a program, as an initiative, you're going to have a lot of projects, a lot of programs on top of that transformation. And you're going to use a lot of the skills we learn as project leaders, as project managers, to help the organization to transform. In some organizations, the senior executive responsible for transformation sometimes is called the Chief Transformation Officer. Okay, and this person will be responsible to drive, to design and implement the big picture and the business plan for the transformation. And we work side by side with the key executives in the organization to ensure the transformation is successful. And this is a role that in our career as project managers, we can develop ourselves and we can aspire one day work as project leaders, chief transformation officers. Some of you might also be playing this role already without this title, but you might be close enough to the executive board already and playing this role without having a specific name or title, but you're dealing with transformation and you're working side by side with executives, which is very important. Just to close this part, the key takeaways of the research. First of all, to succeed with these strategic initiatives, organizations must excel at transforming. High performance in transformation also are a faster pace using agile work and formalized process. Power of the people, nurture and develop internal talent, and strong visionary leadership. And on top of that, one thing that I wanna talk is, it's really important to have a framework, to have a set of tools, techniques, and practices that are gonna help you transform the organization. And now I wanna quickly cover what we call the Brightline Transformation Compass, which is a framework. It's a high-level framework. And for this webinar, I just want to touch the 5 key building blocks. These key building blocks are the key elements that you need to have on all transformation initiatives, no matter what size is this transformation initiative. So I'm not going to go down specifically to practice, tools, and techniques, etc. But instead, I'm going to cover very briefly these 5 key building blocks. And again, you can also download this document which has more information from our website. And one key difference from this framework compared to the other frameworks, we focus on people here at the center of transformation. Many organizations, sometimes they forget to help the people to transform, their employees to transform, their collaborators, the people that are working on the transformation or working the current setup of the business. We need to focus the transformation in these people. So the Brightline Transformation Compass was developed, just let me give you a brief context, was developed in a collaborative work with PMI, led by PMI and Professor Bernd Tabrizi from Stanford University and the Brightline team. So we developed this workbook, this handbook that comprises these 5 key building blocks. So let me explain to you what are these 5 key building blocks. The first one is the Northstar. Every transformation initiative must have a Northstar. What is a Northstar? Northstar is a crisp, inspiring articulation of the vision and objectives for that transformation. So you might have like 5 or 3 key bullet points which tells you and the whole organization what is our goal for that transformation. Let me give an example, a very high level example. Our vision is to be Earth's most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online. Does anyone have a clue what is, from which organization this is a North Star? And of course, I'm not going to wait too much for the answers because we have a limited time. So I'm going to go ahead and say, but think about, take a minute for yourself to think. This is Amazon's North Star. And within this North Star, they break down this North Star into key, clear, and well-defined goals to help the organization transform themselves and become what Amazon is today. And this is very important. Without a North Star, your transformation is doomed to fail. Okay? So this is the first building block. The second building block is customer insights and megatrends. You can't have a clear North Star if you're not certain enough or if you don't understand what your customers want, what problems they want to solve, what your competition is doing better than you or different from you. So it's very critical, instead of go ahead and say, let's transform the whole business because this new technology is going to disrupt ourselves. Be mindful about the technology is just one piece of this. You hear a lot about digital transformation today, and sometimes the digital transformation itself doesn't have a clear perspective about, okay, what am I going to do to solve the most critical customer problems with that technology? So the digital transformation per se is not a transformation, it's just an enabler. Digital technology or any technology is just an enabler to achieve your North Star. So you need to have a deep understanding about the customers. Otherwise, you're not going to have a clear North Star that will help you understand, okay, where should I go within my business for the next 10 or 5 years? So for example, let's take the automotive industry. I have a nephew, he's 18 years old, and he doesn't like to drive. So if you are a car company and if you listen to this public, this audience, they actually use other types of mobility, techniques or different ways to move around. That's not necessarily owning a car. So in the next 5 or 10 years, maybe if you're a car manufacturer, you're going to realize, oh, the people that should be buying cars right now, they don't care about this car anymore. So you need to understand very deeply where your customer insights and trends are going in order to understand what is your North Star and how can you develop a better transformation for your company. The other key building block is what we call a transformation operating system. And the transformation operating system is how the people and the teams will work together. And here you use a lot of agile techniques and practice to build teams to scale transformation projects and pilots within the organization. So you need this flat, adaptive, cross-functional organization structure that will enable change. For example, this is a picture of what we call here a transformation operating system. You're going to have a central team. Usually this central team comes with executives from different areas of the organization that will help the CTO or someone that's in charge of transformation make decisions quickly and effectively. And this central team will help different RRTs, as we call, rapid responsive teams, that will work on different projects, different programs to implement the changes needed for the transformation. So they have here 5 key components: flat cross-function teams, lightweight governance, how do we measure progress, how we make decisions, collaborative and appropriate risk appetite, and well-defined KPIs, and very important, VC-style investment rounds, meaning you're going to have a lot of initiatives. So some of them with a lot of risk as part of that initiative. So you should adopt a different way of investing and putting resources in those initiatives. And a very good approach is to use a venture capitalist style investment in which you can have small portions of your investment spread out to different initiatives, and you're going to start tracking simultaneously those initiatives in order to see the results as quickly as possible, learn as quickly as possible, and actually identify what are the initiatives that will be better positioned to deliver your results. Okay. Moving to the next important key building block. So this is the fifth key building block, the last one, but it's extremely important, which is the inside-out the volunteer champions. So the volunteer champions here, as well as the inside-out transformation, this is the group that will help the project leaders and the RRT teams, so the rapid response teams, for example, to deliver the transformation. For example, these are people from different areas of the organization that doesn't necessarily will be full-time dedicated, okay, to the transformation. So they will have different responsibilities, they will have different tasks, but they will be participating as volunteers, as champions for the transformation to help in the organization. And it's very important to understand how to recruit these people, these thought leaders, to also be the change agents in the organization. And lastly, but not least, the inside-out employee transformation, which is how can we help people understand their inner expectations and what they believe, what is the purpose for them in the transformation, and make sure, and this is our job, make sure their expectations, their vision is aligned with the transformation for the organization. This is the best scenario you can build your organization, the environment in your organization to be successful at transformation. If people's purpose, people expectations are not so clear, aligned, or well described and understood by the leaders, the transformation initiatives will be struggling to deliver the results they want. Why? Because a lot of people, they need to be transformed as well. When you talk about cultural transformation, for example, you need to understand your dream, your career aspirations, your purpose at work, to understand how can you best contribute to the transformation initiatives in order to deliver their results. And this is key. This is very important. And again, I suggest to you, all of you, to download the book to understand more about these key building blocks. Finally, before I handle the mic to Scott, every transformation has a life cycle. And here we propose a 3-stage life cycle that we call 3-stage methodology, in which for all the 5 key building blocks, and of course, those are the essential elements, you can add a lot of new different practice tools and techniques, but you need to have a life cycle for your transformation, which has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you can use here 3-stage methodology that we call inspire, mobilize, and shift. So inspire, you're going to build the transformation organization. within your rapid response teams, okay? Then you mobilize, you define what's the blueprint for my transformation, what I need to do, what's the business case, what are the key steps, what your value tree proposition, what are goals for that transformation. And then the shift is where you start executing the transformation and collecting the results and the benefits for the organization. And this is just a sample, just an example of a life cycle that can be tailored to different situations, different organizations. So without further ado, I want to inspire you, everyone, to download these resources from our website. And if you have some questions, you can come back to me or Scott. And now I want to invite Scott here to talk more about what PMI and Brightline will do to help project managers to acquire these essential capabilities in transformation. Please join me, Scott.
Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate the handoff, and thanks to everyone for being here and attending. I'm not going to speak for too long. I just wanted to, potentially answer some of the questions that are being asked here, and explain to you guys what this initiative with Brightline regarding transformation is going to do for PMI and vice versa. As you likely know, PMI is highly focused on providing the best-in-class thinking for project managers around the globe. And of course, what comes along with that is certifying them in what they are currently doing and what they're offering, trying to provide them career boosts within project management, but also to be their helping hand in terms of the challenges that they will face within project management. And considering the Brightline initiative and how it's delivering strategic design and delivery, PMI has recognized that with Brightline and the transformation efforts that organizations have seen across the world, there is that data and recognition that backs up that it's not so successful. Eddie showed the stats that there's over $900 billion wasted in transformation efforts that have gone wrong or that have not resulted in a positive light for organizations. And as many as 70% of them have failed in trying to transform. So what we have done, in my department specifically, I work in the professional development department as a product manager, and we strive to provide online learning for project managers to then develop these skills and succeed in their challenges across their organizations. We've partnered with Brightline and my friend Eddie here with the Brightline initiative to be able to bring this cutting edge research matched with transformation experts and best practices to then build an online course and online series related to transformations and to instruct project managers on transformations, because we see and we recognize that project managers, while they are so very closely tied to all of the projects and all of the parts of an organization within transformation, they're not as closely aligned with the transformation best practices. And we saw that gap and wanted to come up with a solution that would appease them and be able to provide them the best aid possible. So in one of the questions that was asked here, which is essentially saying, what other courses or certifications does Brightline offer? We're currently working on developing a new transformation series that will be broken into a few different stages, ranging from the beginning mindset of transformation all the way up to the most advanced. And we will be providing a very succinct, very delicate and unique course offering related to transformation that helps project managers get more aligned with transformation efforts across organizations to be able to deliver it more successfully to organizations. And with these 5 building blocks that Eddie has alluded to, we've seen within our research that, as I mentioned, organizations, up to 70% of them fail. However, when these 5 building blocks are incorporated within those transformations, we're seeing up to an 80% success rate. So we're jumping from 30% success to 80% success when you're incorporating these building blocks and these fundamentals and principles. So we really see the benefit within this course, and we know that we're going to be delivering that very well to our customer base. So we're very excited to be going through our beta testing, to be getting our feedback, and then be constantly improving and iterating on this transformation concept, and then be delivering that for our customers. So we have some very exciting things coming up in the next couple of months, and we're very happy to be sharing it with you today. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank
and
you,
Scott.
Go ahead, Anna. Sorry.
Sure. Just to have actually a couple of questions here from good questions from one question from Lotendo. So feel free, Eddie or Scott, to jump in and answer. He said, or she, sorry, will a chief transformation officer be in an organization for a long period of time, or just for a period when the transformation is required? And continuation also, he said, is transformation static or continuous in an organization?
Very good. Can you hear? It's good?
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. So let me, before I jump on those questions that are very important, I just want to wrap up what Scott said. Within these courses, what we want, we want to help project managers and project leaders. And again, some of you is already working with transformation in one way or another, but we want to make sure that you have the latest thinking and the practices and tools and as a toolkit to help organization transform. So what we're going to teach in this series of courses is going to be helping you walk through the journey from the beginning of a transformation up to the end of a transformation. You're going to learn what is transformation, identify the risks, the challenges, what's changing in the business, different types of transformation, what are the tools you can use to plan a transformation, what are the key success factors you need to be aware of a transformation, up to the point of implementing a transformation and helping the organization implement that transformation. So you will be equipped. Of course, we're not going to cover everything that exists on transformation, and a lot of your toolkit and expertise will come with experience, as everything else, as a project manager, for example, but you're going to be prepared to understand what's happening in terms of transformation and how to help your organization. Okay, now I'm going to jump to the questions. So the first question was, is a CTO will be forever in the organization, or will be for a certain period while the transformation is undergoing? I would tell you that will depend. As I told you, the transformation, we consider transformation as a journey. So it's not something you can do very easily and very quickly, despite you have all the speed behind it, but it's something that will be a constant. Because, for example, today, you decide to do, let's say, a digital transformation. So you're not changing your whole business, okay? You're changing just one area of your platform or for product platform, which is enabling your customer experience to be faster, better, and cheaper by using technology. But in order to do that, you will need to change a lot of things about the product, about the customer touch points in your process. Even though training your customer using like an application or the phone to buy stuff or to interact with your product, rather than go to physical stores, etc. So despite is a transformation focused on the technology and the product, you're going to have a lot of other change and transformation related to that specific initiative. So maybe the CTO today will be responsible for that transformation. Now, after this transformation, the organization might realize, you know what, this worked so well that I want to do the same with other products. Oh, this works so well that I actually want every business unit to work in the same mindset that this team now using this technology works, because you have to change the way they're working, right? And this happening, a very good example, simple example that probably you guys, everyone in this call might have experienced already. It's bank, digital bank. I'm pretty sure you probably have an analog bank account, and also you're experiencing a digital bank account. So the experience is different, but the product is pretty much the same. You have a bank account with your card, but the way you open the bank, the way you communicate, the way you open the bank account, the way you receive a credit card, etc., is totally different, right? So the experience is different. And in order to get to that point, there was a transformation occurring in that organization or that bank or that institution to make that happen. So responding to your question, I would say the CTO will be in the organization as long as the transformation is necessary. But today, you might say, okay, change is the new normal. Okay, in 5 years, my organization will be a totally different thing. After 5 years more, I'm going to be another organization. So I would say this role, this competence, this capability will be essential for the organizations from now on forever, maybe, because you can see that the changes are speeding up more and more as we evolve in the technology, in the consumer paradigms, in changing consumer behaviors, etc. And with all the challenges we have in the world today, I would say this role and the people that work with transformation will be essential to every organization. If they don't have yet, they will need to develop that competence. Now, go back to the second question. Can you paraphrase that again, Ahmad, please?
Sure. So basically, he's asking, is the transformation static or continuous in an organization? I think you have answered that.
It's right? Continuous. It's continuous. And I wanna take advantage of another question here from I guess Philip. What's the difference between transformation in the context of this presentation and organizational change? I would say organizational change is that small piece that is really clear about a change aspect in the process. Of course, change management and transformation, they comes in different levels, but they are correlated. So you have frameworks that you use for change management and you use for transformation with different scale, okay, different lenses. But if you know change management, if you know change management, you have a very good start. But you need to understand transformation as a more broad perspective, as an ecosystem perspective. Because when you talk about business transformation, you not only think about, okay, I'm going to change the structure of the organization. This will be an organizational change project. You're changing roles, you're changing how people are organized, who reports to whom, etc., etc. Transformation will take that plus many other initiatives to have a big change in the strategic goals or direction of the organization. That's why the Northstar is sometimes something very challenging, very aspiring, very inspiring, because it's something that will persist for, I would say, a couple of years in the organization, and the organization will pursue that in the best way possible.
Perfect. I see here a lot of the questions. Maybe we have around 10 questions, so trying to capture all of them. If not, definitely we will make sure that we have a written answer and we share it with everyone. So the next questions, if possible, Eddie, is from Jackie. Said, do you see better transformation results, better strategy implementation in organizations where there is an appointed C-suite person who is dedicated to this?
Oh, definitely. I would say this is one of the success critical factors. And the reason is simple. These changes, they require very strategic decisions that will impact the organization for better or for worse. And so if you don't get it right, you might be worse than what you are now in terms of business results or performance. And that's why we need a lot of strong support from the senior executives, of course, to help the program leader or the transformation leader and even the project leaders. So we need to straight that communication very, very clearly, because everyone needs to know and needs that support to see clearly where we are going with that transformation. So. And this is not only for transformation, right? If you wanna develop a project management culture in an organization that's not used to value the project management competence is the same. So you need someone from the top to help you with support, so things can happen in the time that needs to happen. So this is a must. That's why having a CTO helps a lot, because by appointing a CTO in an organization, from the beginning, you're saying, hey, this is a person within the same level of executives that in charge of transformation, and we are aware of what's happening.
Thank you. Once again, we do have actually a question from Godfrey asking, how and when is the effectiveness of the transformation process evaluated?
That would depend on the timeline. I would say I like to use an agile approach, an iterative approach for that. So depends the transformation side, depends on what you're doing, what's the size of the changes and transformation you're doing. I would say that could be evaluated on a monthly basis, on bi-weekly basis, or even every 2 months. So that would depend on first of all, do you have the benefits? And the benefits are the high-level benefits, long-term, mid-term benefits, clearly mapped. For every benefit, do we have a set of objectives? For every set of objectives, do we have some metrics we can map and track? And that's really important. And don't wait like 6 months to sit down and say, okay, let's take a look and see if our transformation is going well. No, that needs to be an active monitoring and following up, if you need, on a daily basis, because again, you're transforming the business. You hope that after the transformation, you're going to have a different business, a different context, people work differently, a different culture, different mindset. So, and that sometimes doesn't come easy. So if you don't have way to track that progress and understand if you're closer or not to the benefits, at some point you're going to get lost and the motivation goes down, and then you lose. Then you lost the transformation motivation behind it from the beginning.
Great, thank you. Actually, the good questions are still coming then. The next question from Mario. Which are the main factors that explains a low government tax transformation? The CTO role is interesting. Who in the organization would have this role? At which level?
So let me see if I understood the question. Mm-hmm. A CTO role, I would say, and again, as I explained, a CTO role should be in the level of an executive level. So CEO, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Strategy Officer, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Digital Officer, and the Chief Transformation Officer. In some organizations, you also have the Chief Digital Officer, which is essentially had pretty much the same role and responsibility of our Chief Transformation Officer, but because that organization is very tech-driven, very digital technology-driven, maybe a bank, maybe a financial or a service industry, they will have this role. And it's important to be in the same level as the executive, again, to provide enough support and buy-in from the executives. Okay, this is number one. In terms of, let me talk more about roles. The main responsibility of this person is to be the integrator. And the integrator means create a big picture about the system of systems, so everything that is connected, in order to design the transformation in a better way, and also help the teams, the program managers, the project leaders that are working with rapid response teams align with that big picture plan. Sometimes in an organization that is too big, and maybe the transformation is also very wide, very important, they also might have a transformation office, which is basically an advanced level of a project management officer or a program management office to help this group of executives in their work in terms of aligning, make sure that all the goals are clear, make sure the teams have the support and the resources to do their work.
Thank you, Lee. Thanks. So you have a question from Otma. Can you give us some examples of companies using the Brightline Compass?
We launched this now in the website recently, but we did before building the Brightline Transformation Compass. If you download the Transformation Compass, you're gonna see some examples put together as a part of the work Professor Tabrizi did in Stanford that serve as examples for the key elements of the transformation. And one of them is the Santa Clara Hospital that used the key building blocks to become a global leader in providing healthcare for their families and for the patients. And they use a lot of the key building blocks to transform the culture and the process and the operations in that hospital, in that institution, in order to make sure the transformation happened. So in the book, we talk a lot about the details around how the Santa Clara Hospital implemented some of the key elements in the building blocks. And now that once we release the transformation playbook, we are receiving some feedback from other organizations about using it. And as soon as we can have collect more information, we can share, of course, about that specific case study. But again, the building blocks, they were built on previous experience and collective experience from the team that was charged to create the building blocks, the transformation Brightline Compass, including the Brightline team. I myself was part of this team, and Professor Behan Tabrizi as well, that was doing some work, extensive work on transformation before. All this detail is in the book. That's why I don't want to get into details about how the company did, etc. But you can read this example in the transformation workbook as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Eddie. If you don't mind, you and Scott, can we extend for 5 more minutes? I see great questions from the participants, and I would like to capture all of them. That's okay?
Yeah. Take a look if there are any specific questions about the product, the capability building. I think we should leverage, take advantage of Scott as much as we can here. And this is very exciting for us. So I think that will be very exciting for the audience as well, to know a little bit more about what we're planning.
Absolutely. So my second question is actually for Scott from Peace. I would like to know how a project manager can ideally transition to a transformation officer. For example, how can a BMB be developed to transformation officer? Is there a certification recommendations? I mean, is there any certification or recommendations?
Yeah, that's a great question. Within the course that we're developing now, our vision of this is to break it into 3 separate stages, which I talked a little bit about, of kind of like the beginning stages of transformation, going through the more advanced and architecting type stages, all the way to advanced, which is running, developing your own team, and then leading your own transformation. As project managers, we see that there's high investment within the transformation space, but not necessarily acting as transformation officers or transformation managers or employees. So within project management, as you're leading transformation projects, you can definitely get more involved in that transformation aspect of it. And with the teachings within our course or with any other resources that you found with best-in-class thinking, you'll be able to then marry that with the work that you're doing and also be able to get certified in the realm of transformation. So for example, within this new course that we're going to be providing, we're looking to provide a micro credential, which can be very similarly seen as like PMI's PMP certification as a project management professional. This will be more of like a transformation professional, for lack of better terms. We don't have an exact terminology yet, but that will be the same type of certification that can be reflective of saying this person is someone who is knowledgeable and trained in the art of transformation within an organization and a business, and they have gone through the methodologies that see successful transformations on the outcome of it. So we're looking to incorporate that into our courses. And I think that that's going to be a very big badge and indicator to show an organization like, wow, look at this project manager. This is someone who has been through, been through the ropes, has gone through the transition, has attended these courses, and really has been able to emphasize and evaluate how they are in support of transformation. So we're looking to drive in that direction to then support our project managers to then push more into that transformation space.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott. So basically, with that note, we have still 3 or 5 questions, I think, or 2 more questions about the transformation. But in respect of the participants and everyone's time, what we can do at the end of this session, we'll share all these questions with the speakers again to have written answers, and we'll share it with all of you. And meanwhile, also, you have my email address, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and we'll make sure to get for you an answer. So with that note, would like to again thanks the speaker, Edie and Scott, and also thank all of you for the great questions. Actually, we had a very good number of questions, and we'll make sure, as I said, to answer all the questions and send it to all of you between today and tomorrow. Also would like to remind you that the presentation, along with the recording and the BDU's details and the simple survey, will be sent to all of you in a way to improve our future webinars. So thank you, everyone. If you want to say any final words, Edie or Scott, please.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. Thank you for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to speak with the community. You have my email here if you want to ask a couple of questions. I'm going to answer all questions that Aman will collect. Also, if you want to stay in touch via LinkedIn, please feel free. And it's going to be a pleasure to continue this conversation. I hope you enjoy, and stay put for the news about the transformation course. Scott?
Yeah, just wanted to echo that same notion. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to learn from us today. We're really excited about this and really happy to disseminate it to as many people as possible. So yeah, I'm very excited for big things in the future, looking at this course, being able to bring it to market and really train our customers on the inner workings and best practices of transformation, and really build a much better world for project leaders to then cultivate and change with their organizations. So we're really excited for this.
Perfect. Thank you once again. Wish you everyone a good afternoon, a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.